Okay, here we are, we're back. This is Sty North again. Another Sty story, I guess. Well, let's see, what should I fill you in on now? Well, as I had said in an earlier video, I lost my father in 1969. He had been severely ill, and so with my three siblings and myself, my mother had her hands full raising the four of us. And in that, and I have to say that that's one woman that did her job, and she did her job well. She did a very good job on raising four children all by herself. God bless her. The hard part of it is, of course, she had to work full time. Well, that left me to run a little rampant, you know. I turned into quite the wild little character. And I just about did whatever I wanted to do. And we lived in a small community, surrounded by lakes. Totally surrounded by lakes. In fact, our community technically was an island. And I loved to fish. And I loved to trap. So I was fishing all the time. I loved to go fishing. Well, we didn't have a lot of money. So I had to use whatever I could get my hands on. And I learned to make my own fishing rods. I learned how to make my own lures and how to gather up my own bait all the time. And I mean, I got so industrious, I was out collecting frogs and selling them for about half the price that the bait store sold them for, but I made enough money that I could buy all of the candy and pop I wanted to keep myself well fed while I went fishing. So we ate a lot of fish around home because this boy was out fishing all the time. When I was about 15, I decided I want to trap. So I decided I'd start a small muskrat trapping line, and so I ran a trap line when I was 15 and did quite well. But muskrat pelts back then were like $1.50 a piece. And in our neck of the woods, there were so many muskrats that I was turning $100 a week trapping muskrats. So all of a sudden I realized the money was nice, but I really enjoyed going out and being in the outdoors constantly and doing the trapping. You learn a lot when you're out there every day, and it's cold. It's not easy. A lot of people think, oh, well, running a trap line, that can't be so bad. Actually, it's pretty time consuming, and it's hard on you physically. There's a lot of work involved. But that's when you learn, when you do something like that, just how much you really love the outdoors. And boy, did I learn to love the outdoors. Well, then it got to the point where on my summer breaks from school, shame on me, I got my first automobile, my first car, when I was 15 years old. It was a 1963 Thunderbird. What a car to have for a 15-year-old. And so I got around all I wanted. I didn't have a driver's license. My mother wasn't happy with the fact that I had a car and I was doing such things, but she had a hard time controlling this boy. Well, I'd jump in that car and I'd take my old single-shot 12-gauge shotgun with me, and I'd take my pup tent and a backpack and a little bit of cooking gear and my canteen, and I'd take off, and I'd head off into the hardwoods. We had a lot of hardwood forests in our area. I'd go off into the hardwood forests and do some squirrel hunting and set up camp and spend 3-4 days by myself out along a river somewhere in a hardwood forest, eating squirrels. and learned a lot just out of necessity. Now we have all these videos online and all these wonderfully experienced and qualified and intelligent people teaching all of these aspects of the outdoors. I'm just amazed, and I love it, and I'm glad that I'm now participating in doing the same thing. Because growing up and my exposure to the outdoors, I had to learn almost all the things I know by accident. And sometimes those accidents were painful. I joined the Boy Scouts. I went into the Boy Scouts, and my scoutmaster, he told me that he says I'm just going to order all your badges for you and hand them out to you as you complete things, because he says you're moving along so fast I can't keep up with you. And I loved it. I loved the Boy Scouts. I loved helping my fellow scouts catch up. There was a lot of things I learned in the Scouts that I couldn't learn on my own. So the Boy Scouts, I two thumbs up to the Boy Scouts. I think that's an organization, a great organization. So I spent my teenage years just pounding the outdoors, loving every minute of it. I got into horseback riding. I love horses, just love them. I worked on a local horse farm. We call them horse farms instead of ranches. To me, a ranch is something that covers 1,000 or more acres. If you're talking 200-300 acres and it's got horses, it's a horse farm. All Western style. Learn how to use sawbucks and how to pack a horse and how to handle a pack string. So I thought someday I'll be able to use that information, that skill. I couldn't because I lived so close to the Twin Cities. There was no practical application. So, but I learned the skill anyway, and I found that that's the important thing to do in life is we need to learn skills whether we're going to use them today or not, because sometime down the road you're going to run into a situation, you're going to say, you know, I should have learned how to use that bow drill. I should have. I lost my only way of starting a fire, but I've got the materials to make a bow drill, but I've never done it, and I'm not sure if I can do it or not. Well, if I had learned the skill and practiced it and knew I could do it, it'd be a much more comfortable situation, wouldn't it? Yeah. So, learn all you can, folks. So, there's a little bit more about Stye's history. Next video, I'm going to jump into some stories about some of the family vacations that we did way up in Boundary Waters, and then I'm going to get into some of my animal encounter stories, and then I think I'll get into some of my I'll cover some stories about Montana and the Northwest. There's some stories about my stay out there that you might be interested in. So this is Stye North, just another Stye story on a cold winter day. I've got a wood stove to tend to, get a little warmth in my shack, and I'll bounce back with another story. Later, folks. Thanks for watching.